Like a lot of people, you've put a lot on hold. Eating in restaurants, praying in your house of worship, attending sporting events, all to protect your health. So as we all start to get back, the same people who have been protecting your health all along are the people doing the most to keep your health safe. Always. We're open for emergency care and for appointments safely for you. CHI St. Luke's Health Memorial.
Welcome to the Chamber Connect, connecting business to community. My name is Tara Watson-Watkins. I'm president and CEO of the Lufkin and Galena County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined with my co-host, my awesome co-host, Blake Pollino of BP Media Group. What's up, Blake?
Oh, not too much. We just finished up a fantastic episode with Jackie Polk of Lee Trans Services. What an inspiring episode. Today is a crazy time to live, and Jackie really gives us some fantastic insight on what it is to be a woman leader in business today and how to pivot your business, how to change your business with the times, and how they've successfully managed to do that. So let's go ahead and jump into this episode right now.
We're excited to kick off this episode of Connect with Jackie Polk. And Jackie is the Executive Vice President for Lee Trans Services. So welcome, Jackie. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Why don't you give us a little background for those that are listening that might not be familiar? They may see the building downtown and wonder what that is. Why don't you tell us what Lee Trans is?
Well, everyone thinks we're a transportation company, but we're not, although we are closely related. We work with companies that are involved in transportation, whether it be hauling someone else's product from point A to point B and being compensated for it, or they manufacture a product that they need to get to their customers. And we work with them to help them to navigate all of the compliance and regulatory requirements of their business. So it's dealing with federal and state government, helping them to get their vehicles registered, titled, permitted for operation, and then also qualifying their drivers, making sure that they're hiring the safest drivers possible to put on our roadways, and then helping them to maintain that compliance by filing their taxes and keeping their files up to date with motor vehicle records and making certain that the people that they're allowing to operate those big tractor trailers are physically qualified and that they're not doing drugs or alcohol. So we handle all of the testing for that as well.
I didn't know that you did all that.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. No one really knows what we do. And I always laugh because Gene says, he just tells them, we're kind of like an accounting firm.
Nice. Which you don't think of when you think of Lee Trans.
Right.
And how long has Lee Trans been around?
They have been around for 36 years. Okay. And I just celebrated 18 years with them. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. Yes. You know, the one thing I continue to see every time you talk about Lee Trans, it's talking about excellent customer service. And I think that's something that y'all are really known for. How do you think that the customer service came along, and why is that so important to the business and the continuation of the business?
Sure. Well, if anyone knows Gene Lee, our owner, they know that he is about relationships. And so he has a servant's heart, and he is just very focused on getting to know our clients. It's one of the biggest things that we do is we want to know who are our clients and what is important to them, and then we want to be their partner. So we don't necessarily want to be just a vendor. We want to walk alongside them. We want to understand where they're struggling and where we can step in and help them. And then we assign someone to work directly with them so that they have someone that they can reach out to any time of the day or night. They contact their client service representative and they will answer their questions, and they're there for them. And, you know, we have really had to be tried during the last 6 months about this partnership because, you know, a lot of our clients are struggling. And so, you know, we've walked with them down this path, and we've, you know, given them discounts where they needed it. We've backed off on billing where we had to. And when we say that we want to be their partner, we firmly believe it, and we're very committed to it. But I think it all starts with Gene's heart for people.
That's awesome. So what was 18 years ago, what made you kind of tell us your story about getting involved in it? What was kind of your history? What made you want to get into the industry, and kind of how did that path happen?
Well, it's kind of interesting because my father owned a heavy construction business, and I was a daddy's girl, and I used to love to ride with him in what we called the low boy, which is what hauled the cranes and the big bulldozers.
Sure.
And I remember I was probably 6 or 7. My dad said to me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I'm going to be a truck driver." And he said, "No, you aren't. Girls aren't truck drivers." And so I often laugh because I'm as close to a truck driver as I probably should be, truth be told, now that I have my driver's license.
Sure.
But I actually worked for a firm out of Wisconsin. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and by the name of J.J. Keller, and that was where I broke into the regulatory compliance, and I just fell in love with it. I'm a detail person, an analytical person, and yet I also was able to interact with people, so I have a little bit of both, which is unusual, and I have to push myself a bit on the extrovert side, but that was what got me interested in it, was just being called for a position. And when they told me about managing clients and learning their businesses, it sounded fascinating to me. And so that's how I started. And then 8 years later, a mutual acquaintance connected Gene and I. I still lived in Wisconsin at the time, and I came down and visited with him. I had heard of Lufkin Trailers, but I had never heard of Lufkin, Texas. Right. And just talking with Gene was infectious, and I really appreciated his vision and his mission and his goals, and it aligned with my values. And so I decided to make the move, and I've never regretted it. So
did you live in a small town in Wisconsin, or was it a large town?
Well, I was raised in a small town, but then I lived in the Appleton, Green Bay area as an adult.
So you came from a big town back to a small town.
Yes.
And how was that adjustment?
You know, I think the largest adjustment for me was probably the fact that the shopping wasn't as good as what I was accustomed to. However, we have so much here in Lufkin. We're really blessed. And now I have an 8-year-old son, and I really value what we have here. But the biggest adjustment was the grocery store, because we had this humongous grocery store where you could get anything you wanted. And so it was an adjustment, what we had there versus, coming here and having. Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome.
So I'm sure during all of this, starting in March with the coronavirus hitting, that you really had to change the way you were doing business. What are some of the ways that y'all had to shift, and what are some of the ways that are things happening that you've changed that you like how you're doing it more now than beforehand?
It's been surprising. There have been a number of blessings that have come out of the COVID pandemic. And, what we immediately started doing was just making our team aware. We understand that this is going on. We understand that you have children that may not be able to go back to school, making a commitment to them that we were going to do everything we could to continue operations as usual. But one of the things that we started immediately was if there were people that could work remotely, we allowed them to work remotely.
That's awesome.
That way they could quarantine with their family, but also that, the people that had to come to the office would be limited who they had to come into contact with. We have been fortunate that we have enough space that we've been able to social distance in the office. So that was something else that we did immediately. And the other major thing that we have had is Zoom. I don't think I had heard of Zoom before COVID, okay? And then all of a sudden you were hearing about people's children doing their classes through Zoom, and we started reaching out to our clients on Zoom, and it really has made a difference. It helps us to stay connected with the people that we have working remotely that aren't coming into the office, but then it also has really helped us with our client relations, because now we used to get on a plane, because we don't do business just here in Angelina County, we do it nationwide. So we would get on a plane, we would fly out to California, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, wherever we needed to go. And now we're interacting with some of these smaller clients that probably wouldn't have had time to meet with us, or we wouldn't have had the ability to meet with them just from a cost justification.
Right.
And it's connecting us in a personal way, because anytime you put a face with a voice, with a name, I think it becomes more personal, and that has been amazing. So that's been a real exciting change. But, on the more practical side of things, we've had to take a look at, each of our clients and stay in close contact with them about what is going on with your business. How can we help you? Are there struggles that we need to be aware of? Monitoring, our collections very closely, because, we have a lot of families that depend on us for their income. And so we have to be very diligent in what we're doing and making sure if all of a sudden someone isn't communicating with us, there may be an issue. And it was just unfortunate that at the same time as the pandemic, we had such a major shift in the oil field. Yeah. And we do work with a lot of oil field service companies. Thankfully, we're not as leveraged in that area as we used to be, but, we saw some dramatic layoffs taking place in that group and in that sector. And so, we tried to help them in any way that we could to try to revisit what services we're offering for them, how we might package things differently, price things differently, trying to work with them until they can recover. And we're starting to see that bounce back, which is great. Nice. We also, had to start screening all of our employees.
Sure.
So, we have to take their temperature as they come in, screen them for any symptoms they may have. We had to write an entire policy on what we're doing to deal with COVID and what our policy was if someone came into contact with someone who tested positive. If someone actually contracted COVID, what were we going to do? And so we've had 3 cases, I think, in the office. Thankfully, they all happened kind of at the same time, and we learned a lot walking down.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was tough, but we've learned from that, and we now have some pretty strong practices in place that we just have to make everyone across the board follow. Right. So we've been very fortunate that it hasn't been more cases since we do employ, approximately 60 people. So we've been very fortunate that we've only had 3. But it's been a challenge to help our clients, help our employees, because, we had employees who all of a sudden they had students that needed computers and they didn't have a computer. Right. So, our IT department worked on putting together equipment that they could take home for their kids. It ran the gamut of every area. So it's been interesting, but it's also been rewarding in some strange ways because, I think it's brought our office closer together. We've always felt like a family, but going through this together, I think that everyone has seen, the commitment that the company has to them and to our relationship. Because without our people, we're a service organization, right, and it's all about our people.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I think, like you said, I think the things that COVID has done has really brought people together. I mean, I look at our family as a whole. We've been in quarantine now twice due to me having COVID at one point and then coming into contact another. And the time that we've been able to spend together, it's priceless to us. And I look at just our culture here at the Chamber and think about how much that our little family here with 6 employees has grown. So I can't imagine what it's done to companies with 60, plus people, and being able to reach out and to reach the community. So
yes, it's
interesting.
It has been interesting, and we've had to do some things that kind of took us backwards in the sense that, no shared coffee pots, and normally we offer ice and soda for everyone, and it's like, okay, the ice machine is going to be down, and and so that was a bit of an adjustment, although everyone took it. Oh my goodness, they were troopers because they understand the heart behind it. Sure. Even, wearing masks now, as you come in, as you go out, if you go to someone's work area, please, don't encroach too much on their space. Make sure you're wearing a mask. Right. Just those little things that make such a difference.
Yeah, just wonder if life is ever going to go back to where it was. And if it does go back, do we really want it to go back?
Right.
know.
So,
Yeah, some changes have happened that, I'm okay with, certain things.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite restaurants have like curbside and they didn't before. I'm like, I'm okay with this kind of like staying around. If in your business, is there anything you've run across like that, like in the business that, maybe there are some people who are now able to work remote that you may not have considered before?
We absolutely have our client service team. We always felt it was very important that they be there in the office. They've been working remotely since March, and we do get together occasionally. Like just last Friday, we got together, but we've had to, and we're working right now to draft what are the remote working specifications that we need to have so that people can actually apply to work remotely, and we can review it against the requirements, and if they meet that, then they'll be able to do that. But all of our client service team, our programmers, we have several computer programmers on our staff, and they've been working remotely. An audit specialist. I mean, some of the people that you thought, oh, there's no way that could be done.
Right.
Suddenly, we were finding ways to do it, and I think that that's something that will continue.
Yeah.
Some of the people that were driving over an hour to commute into the office, now they can work remotely, and we want them to come into the office more frequently once we get back to a
Right.
normal
right.
schedule, because we don't want to ever lose that connection. But it really is nice for them to have the flexibility, and you think about less traffic, less danger that they're really in their commute.
Absolutely.
And more family time.
Yes.
So that's nice.
No,
It
absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
So I didn't realize, I knew that you went some places around the United States, but I didn't realize that you were completely nationwide.
Yes.
And
We are.
that's been from the get-go?
When Gene originally started the company, it was more of a regional. He, primarily in the Houston, Lufkin, and then he kind of branched out, added Louisiana, and then when I joined the company was when we started going nationwide. We had more of an outside sales presence and added some additional customer service people, and ever since then, we've never looked back.
Yeah.
So we do work with companies in all of the lower 48 states. We
Okay.
do have some clients in Alaska and even some in Canada. So we are, I guess, an international company in that respect.
you
We
go.
don't think of it because it's Canada,
Yeah.
Right.
but it is international. So yes, we have
Wow.
from coast to coast.
Yeah, that's great.
Your chest pain. It may mean nothing, but it may take everything. Know the symptoms of a heart attack. If you have any of them, get to the nearest emergency room. We're waiting for you. It's your health, so everything is up to you. Everything. This message brought to you by Woodland Heights Medical Center, home of a nationally accredited chest pain center. Log on to learn more.
Are you interested in buying or selling real estate? I'm Becky Cota, broker and co-owner with my husband Kevin here at Century 21 Cota Realty. We have 21 agents that are highly trained and committed to delivering an extraordinary buying or selling experience. Contact us today to see how we can help you.
One of the things in your business, I would assume you have a really wide array of clients kind of on both sides that you're having to manage and juggle and take care of. What's some advice for people who are listening who are small business owners? It seems like a big part of your business is taking care of those clients. What are some tips, some advice that you would give to people to kind of increase their client relationship abilities, especially right now with everything that's going on? And what are some things that y'all have done that have been successful that have helped with that?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we truly believe in is getting to know our clients,
Right.
and getting to know them, not only the people that we interact with, but also the company. What is their personality? What is their mission? What is their value statement? And making sure that we understand what's important to them, and really taking an interest and becoming a part of that annual process that everyone goes through, planning what are their goals for the next year. We like to be involved in that process so that we can really give them advice. And so it's getting to know them, being present in everything that they do, touching base with them, being involved in sponsoring different events that they have.
Sure.
Of course, in our business, driver appreciation is a very big
Absolutely.
big deal.
Yeah.
And so we frequently are donating things like Yeti coolers and gift cards and things that drivers, really enjoy, and getting involved in their events, being there when they have a truck driving championship. And so it's being involved in the associations that are important to them and supporting it and serving on their boards and just seeing them on a regular basis and connecting with them in different places other than just the office or just on the phone. It's face-to-face. It's seeing them at association meetings and just getting to know them on a personal level.
Absolutely.
What, as a woman in the business world, and I'm sure that probably you interact with more men in this business than you do with other women, what is something that you could tell other women business leaders that's been maybe a secret of yours? It's been something that you've always believed in that's helped get you where you are? Because, you look around and there's not a lot of women leaders. So what would you do to encourage other women to step up to the plate?
Well, one of the things that I always talk to our team about, because a large percentage of our company is women. And from the time, I just started my career, one of the things that I noticed is that women don't always support other women. And so I really think it's important that we support one another, that we believe in ourselves. I tell my son all the time, you can do anything you set your mind to. Don't ever let someone tell you that you can't do it, because you can. If I had, not ever bothered to look further and believe that I could take on that next challenge and meet it head on, I wouldn't be where I am today. So the one thing I try to always do is to bring positivity to every situation. Always look for the blessing in everything that you're doing, and look for people doing things right instead of looking for people doing things wrong. I think that if we encourage one another, everyone has weak points, but everyone has strengths, and that's the value of the team. We all come together, and as a team, we can accomplish so much more than one person. But I just believe that if you are a positive person, if you have a can-do attitude, and if you are supportive to those around you, it will help you grow in so many ways, other than just in your career.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Did you have really a strong female role model that encouraged you like that?
Well, it's interesting. Both of my grandmothers were very, very independent women. My grandfather on my dad's side of the family passed away, and my grandmother was a widow for 40 years. And and both grandmothers worked hard. My grandmother on my mom's side owned a business, so they were very strong women. My mom is a strong woman. So I have had a lot of positive women role models in my life, and I'm very grateful to them, because they showed me that you can be independent, you can get ahead. You just have to want it, and you have to work. And that, I think, is one of the secrets, the work ethic and the willingness to do things that may not be in your job description. I always tell people, if someone asks you if you want to do something, do it, because once you learn how to do it, that's always yours. No one can ever take that away from you. That now belongs to you. And that's what I did early in my career. Anytime someone would say, hey, would you like to learn to do this? Yes.
Yeah.
And I just pushed myself out of my comfort zones, and the sky was the limit. Sometimes my family will say to me, who are you? Because you aren't really like any of us, because I just was never afraid. When they told me I had to travel, I went to the airport, I got on the plane and went to the city, and it just didn't scare me, because I knew early on that where I wanted to go.
That's great.
What does the future look like for you and your business? What are kind of some things coming up on the horizon? What is it that you're working toward? And you don't have to be super specific with anything that you guys can't reveal, but what's an area of your industry that interests you, or even outside of your industry, as far as expanding and growing? What does that look like for y'all?
Well, one of the things that we have stayed focused on for the last 15 years is technology. And technology is really becoming everyone's business. Everyone's impacted by it. And even in the transportation sector, vehicles now have anti-collision devices. They have computers that are tracking speed. And there's so much data that is available to our clients that it's overwhelming, and they don't always know what to do with it. And so we are continuing to capitalize on technology to grow our solutions and our services. So one of the things that we are focused on right now through the end of the year is completely rebuilding our driver online application for our clients and building a driver portal that will allow them to easily go online and apply for a position with a company. It will capture all of the information that's needed, and then they'll be able to upload from wherever they are at. If they have a smart device that has a camera on it, they can take a picture and they can securely upload private information. So
Awesome.
We are really excited about this because, our industry, while there has been growth by leaps and bounds in technology, when it relates to the paperwork, sometimes we're still a little bit back in the dark ages. And we work with government agencies a lot, and they're not always on the forefront of technology just because of budgets.
Definitely true.
And so, we're really working hard to help our clients to go into a paperless environment and making information available to them in very actionable ways so that they can, instead of taking a full-time position to manage the areas that we work with them in, now they're able to say, okay, they're going to get a notification if the driver doesn't do what they need to do. But we're taking a lot of that off of their plate so they can focus on truly moving their organization forward.
I love it.
You're just a part of, we've been talking throughout the last few weeks about economic development and talking business in Angelina County. And I think the history of Lee Trans and where you're going with the future, you're right in the middle of the economic development and making sure that your company continues to thrive and prosper, especially throughout all of this with the unknown of what's happening with the coronavirus. And, if you could see anything happen for Angelina County, whether it's with Lee Trans or for anything else, what would you love to see within the next 10 years happen for Angelina County? Because you've been a part of such of the history here of the business community. What would you love to see happen?
Well, I think it's been exciting to hear about companies that are starting to come to the Lufkin area. And one of the things that people that have lived here all of their lives don't always realize is how fortunate people are to live in this area.
Absolutely.
And so we often talk about, how are we going to attract people from these larger cities to come to Lufkin? But Lufkin really is a great place to live and work and raise a family. And so I just hope that we continue to grow and that we will continue to see more business coming back to this area. When I first moved here 18 years ago, so much was leaving. And, we've had recently several companies that have decided that they're coming here and that they're building here, and that's very exciting. And so I just hope that we continue to see growth in our area, that we continue to see more restaurants, more shopping, more industry, seeing what a value it is to be here. So I just am excited to see where we're going to go. I've been just very proud to be involved with the chamber and all that you and your team are doing, Tara. And it's just exciting, the ideas that you have and just the way that you're getting the word out about Lufkin and the fact that it is a great place to be, and our economic development group attracting more businesses. I really hope that that continues. My son goes to St. Cyprian's, and this year is a big deal for them because they're expanding into high school, and that is because of the growth that we're seeing in this community. And so I just am excited to see what will be
Yeah.
in 10 years, but I hope that we'll just continue to grow, but still keep that small town charm and closeness and value system that we have today, because I think that's important.
Absolutely.
It's a very important factor of who we are.
You know, I think that's one thing that is attracting businesses to come to Lufkin and Angelina County. And I think the mindset that we have to get into is that, yes, we've lost some major industries over the years. However, what we're seeing is multiple smaller industries come to our area. So they may not be the huge names of, Lufkin Industries and things like that, the paper mill. But you look at Standridge Color, and you look at Twin Disc, and you look at Sterling and Overseas Hardwood. And, these are people that, yes, they have different, plants all around the world, but they chose to come to Lufkin. And it is because of, I think, the community mindset that we have and the tight knit. And, we heard from, with Tim Stacy with Twin Disc the other day, and he was telling us that the president was sold on Lufkin, Texas, because of the man that opened the door for him and said, "Welcome to Lufkin" at the Angelina County Airport. So it's just tiny little things that we don't even know that we're doing that impact greatness for our community. And we're so excited to have had you on our show today, and to let people know what Lee Trans is, and to let people know what you're doing as a woman in business and as a leader. And we just appreciate you and Mr. Gene and all that y'all have done for Lufkin and Angelina County, because you have certainly helped put us on the map with your business.
Well, I appreciate and am honored to have been asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, everybody who's listening in. If you would do us a huge favor, if you're not already, please subscribe to the podcast. And another huge favor would be if you'll go in and review the podcast on whatever podcatcher that you're currently listening on. That is a huge help to us. If you'd like to watch the video version of this podcast, it is available on the Chamber YouTube channel as well as the Chamber Facebook. And thank you so much, and you guys have a great day.
Take care.